All right, we are getting started with the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, July 22nd, and the time is now 6:08. 08. All right. Roll call. Crystal Sarmiento's here. Keitha Davenport. Here. Jason Holscher. He's not here. Matt Lawson.
Here.
And Alina Rogers.
Here.
All right, and we'll get started with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. All right, and if there's any public comments or public comments that were submitted? None?
No.
All right, there was none. And then we'll get started. Let's see, the consent agenda. Accepting the minutes from our last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda if everybody's had a time to review the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Alina.
I'll second it.
And a second from Mr. Lawson. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes to approve the consent agenda. 4-0. All right, let's get started with the regular agenda. The water and the wastewater impact fee update. The first is to receive a presentation on the update to the land use assumptions, capital improvement plans, and impact fee calculations for the water and wastewater systems.
So on this one, like
Okay.
we had mentioned, the presentation was already given at the last time we had the meeting pertaining to water wastewater, and so we won't have a presentation this time. So last time what was decided is y'all needed some more time to deliberate on the numbers and discuss amongst yourself before you decide on the recommendation for the fees that y'all would recommend to city council
To City Council.
for
Okay.
water wastewater impact.
All right. So with that being said, this is part A of the discussion. It says receive a presentation on the update. So do we have an update?
So there's no update. The presentation that was
That's what we had last time.
Okay. So we're not having an update. We're not having a presentation today.
correct, and we go to item number B.
All right, so we'll move on to discussion and possible action on the updated land use assumptions, capital improvement plans, and the impact fee calculations for the water and the wastewater systems. Okay, so here's where we get to discuss and update or discuss last meeting's
Correct.
numbers, and we have a
No, so on this one, it's based on the same presentation. Report is included in the packet. On the impact fee report, if you look at page number 3-14, and you have a paper copy as well, it's towards the end of the report.
Okay.
It gives you the table for which provides maximum allowable water and wastewater impact fees by meter size. And what you'll be looking at is making a recommendation to the council to either adopt the maximum allowable amount or a different amount to be adopted as the impact fee.
Okay, thank you, Jose. So with that being said, I know that we were going back and forth in the last meeting, looking at these numbers, and this is recommended by Freeze and Nichols, which is based on our forecast assumptions of the growth. And I do know that we had some hesitations on what that growth looked like, but at the end of the day, we're not forecasting these numbers are not lined up with a forecasted number, right? It basically sticks on as the growth goes because it's per connection, it's per meter. So the number that we would agree to recommend to council isn't one that would really affect us in the long term, correct? Because even though we have a projected growth, these numbers, nobody's paying for growth that hasn't come yet. Is that correct? Or is the way I'm saying that the right way?
Yeah, and what you're
Okay.
saying is correct, yeah. So the numbers that you have in front of you on table 3.9 of the report, those are the calculated maximum allowable numbers, based on the projections and the CIP project cost and the math that has been done to get to these numbers. You can recommend any number that is this or below. You cannot recommend anything above this number. And yes, you're absolutely right. This is by the unit,
By unit
by
connection?
unit connection. As they come in, as a new house come in, they pay this number. They're not paying for anything that's not coming.
Okay. So do we have any questions? Anybody have any questions or anything that they want to bring up? Doubts? I know we
just-
left the last time having reservations on these numbers and having peace about them before we recommend them to council.
Yeah, I mean, I just took some, like, just kind of summarized my thoughts from the last meeting. So let's see, I wrote down, here's what I wrote down. At this time, I do support increasing the impact fees as recommended, but not necessarily to the maximum amount possible. I believe there's a fine balance between protecting our current ratepayers from carrying the burden of future infrastructure costs while also ensuring we do not unintentionally discourage responsible commercial development that wants to come to Manvel.
Agreed.
And I think it was, they said Dayton right now is currently at like 11,000, but they're projected to go up to 16,000. So I would kind of propose something in between 16 to 20,000, I think would be reasonable and responsible.
You would propose something between 16 and 20,000 what? New developments, new homes?
No.
What number is that you're talking about?
The water impact fee.
The impact
The dollar
fee.
amount.
Okay, so 16,000 to 20,000.
That's for the meters, the smallest meter size?
Well,
Or
it's
does
a,
it matter?
no, because
Because the
this,
current maximum allowed that we could recommend is 25,395.
and of that number, 19,937 is wastewater, and then 5,458 is water. Now, we also discussed, so you're saying you would recommend, you would feel safe with something in between this range based on what, we looked at Dayton because they're also growing.
Yeah.
And what
No,
did you say they were at?
They're currently at, well, at the time of our last meeting, they were
Mm-hmm.
at 11,000, and they, I think, were in discussions to increase it, or they had just approved to
Mm-hmm.
increase it to 16,000.
Okay.
But my thing is I'm kind of curious. I know with the roadway impact fees, when we were discussing that at the last meeting, they were like, well, you could do different fees for different sections of town. Is that true for this as well?
Well, this only applies to new. So the
Right, but
burden
there's
wouldn't.
commercial, there's residential, so like if somebody wants to build commercial, that could be one impact fee. If they want to build a big neighborhood, that's a different fee. If they want to build on the rural side,
So my
maybe
understanding
that's a different
is,
fee.
that's why, correct me if I'm wrong, that's why the size of the meter is what matters, because if we look at a 2-inch
okay.
meter, then that's equivalent to 5 single homes.
So it is different, okay.
So it is, yeah.
I'm thinking more, those were my thoughts for the roadway impact fee.
And we'll
Which
get
does
there.
not translate because of the
Yeah.
size of the pipes, I guess.
And to echo that, just to make sure that public is aware of this isn't going to affect everyone as a whole, correct? This is affecting those developers that come that say, for every 5 homes, or every home, this is the fee that they're going to incur for wastewater and water. Now, I remember you also asked a question, well, what if someone builds on the rural side, but they don't use wastewater? They're not.
They only pay the water impact
Exactly.
fee, yeah.
Yes.
No, yes, your discussion is exactly correct. This is only for new homes that are coming in, nothing for existing. And I just wanted to add something. I mentioned that this table shows the maximum allowable amount. The maximum allowable for water versus wastewater is different. That's why we're showing those in different columns. As you decide on what you want to recommend,
Those scale
those
down.
needs to be maintained, yeah.
Okay, so for the public who maybe they can see this or not, I'm not certain. So if we're talking about a 3/4 of an inch meter size, that's equivalent to one single-family home connection. The water portion of that at the maximum allowable fee, meter fee, would be 5,458, and then the wastewater's 19,937. Now, if we decide to go down, then those numbers have to reflect that downsize.
Yes, that's
Now-
correct. The water cannot be more than the 5,400 number.
Now, just for.
That's what they're at right now.
I'm sorry?
That's what the,
No,
no,
this is
that's-
the maximum allowable. It's on the last page of it.
It's 3-14.
Okay, so here's another question that I would like to ask when it pertains to these numbers here. What happens if we don't recommend the maximum allowable? Just because we recommend the maximum allowable, does that mean that based on our numbers, which I don't have them in my head right now from the last presentation, realistically, if a homeowner were to build on a 1 acre lot and we drop this down to, let's say, 20%, just 20%, just for numbers and math's sake, how does that affect us in the long run if they do not invest this fee at the maximum amount? What is that shortage? How does it affect the city and the taxpayers?
That's a great question. Basically, the cost of the CIP is what it is.
Okay.
If you're not collecting that money, portion of the cost that is related to new growth, from new growth with this maximum allowable impact fee, that portion comes through rates as the other fee funding opportunity. So that could impact the water rates.
So that would mean that if we don't collect this on the front end, eventually they will see it on the back end. And when we adjust the rate, that can't be targeted to the new home because that's a general rate that applies to everyone. So by not adopting the maximum allowable, that does translate to a burden on other taxpayers that end up paying for that new growth. Is that a fair statement? Yeah? Okay. So that gives me peace about recommending this number. Simply because of that. We don't want, this is a way to avoid everyone else sharing that burden. However, I have my thoughts on how it's wrapped into the cost of the home, but, this protects the taxpayers. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah, I'll go. I have several things.
Okay.
First, it feels like this process is rushed. I will say I'm disappointed that I thought we were going to get updated numbers, and maybe that's my misunderstanding. But I do think the assumptions for the basis of these numbers are aggressive and off, both on the growth projections as well as the cost projections. And so, although no one can crystal ball exactly what's going to happen, I recognize that. The fact that I see numbers are changing on the roadway side, but those numbers, we were told, are used on the water and sewer. And so it's like, how can the numbers change for the roadway but not the water and sewer? So I struggle with the assumptions. If the basis of the assumptions are wrong, then the result is going to be wrong. Now, I get it. Impact fees need to occur. Growth needs to pay for growth, right? But maybe I'm in the unique position, but I know Manvel is not going to add 10,000 homes in 10 years. I know that. What would have been nice is to have, if it's truly a 5-year review, let's review what the assumptions were from the original report, and let's see how those marry up to what we're proposing here. To see what's right and what isn't. I mean, I think there's merit in that from the standpoint of, if there's over-assumption, it's like, okay. Or if there's under-assumption, that's okay. Let's figure it out and let's adjust. But there's none of that here. It's just, here are the numbers and go. The other part is on the cost side, because of the growth side, the costs are aggressive too, and on two fronts. Number one, it's because of there's no phasing involved or any of that. It's just these lump sum of projects. But number two, as I went through the cost, literally these costs are on one page. Each project has one page worth of cost. And I'm in, I get to see cost every day of what's being built in Manvel every day. And these costs, I think are inflated. The unit pricing is inflated. And I'd like to see, what the city has done versus what Friesen Nickel has done as far as costs go. But we don't have that. And so that, that's the other part. And then, the sewer and water report uses the land use assumptions, which we saw last time, that there was a ton of commercial uses in Zone 4 or Track 4, whatever it was called, which was just unrealistic. And I believe they adjusted it for the roadway, but not for the water and sewer. And so, my question to that is how is that possible? And so, my recommendation is we don't make a recommendation until we do some more work. But if we have to, then we have to. But those are my concerns.
I have a question for you
So-
on that.
so
So
would you-
is your reservation on the number, the maximum allowable fee, right? So your reservation is that this is a true number, that really the cost is less than this based on the projections?
Yeah, the projections both on the residential growth and the commercial growth, that's part of it. And then there's a cost part of it. And both of those feed into that number. And so I am questioning the underlying assumptions that feed that number.
Okay,
And so that number, I do think is incredibly high.
okay.
Hi, Madam Chair, if I
Yeah,
may.
absolutely.
I know Matt
Joes.
did note a few comments. Between Ishita and myself, we can try to address some of those before we move forward, if you like.
Sure.
Ishita, do you have a few things to point out?
So regarding the adjustment, and I know we are going through two different studies at the same time, water, wastewater, and roadway. So the different zones that you had mentioned, that is more on roadway side. Water, wastewater doesn't have multiple service areas. It's one. And also on the water, wastewater side, the service area only includes the areas where the city provides and planning to provide water, wastewater service. So the roadway zone area, and I did talk to Eddie, where you had adjustments, included the area in Meridiana. Water, wastewater does not have Meridiana in the service areas at all. The only projections we have on the water, wastewater side in the south service area is 300 ESFCs, which is based on lower density growth projection in the next 10 years, based on conversation with Joe's. And it's only included on the water side of the projections and not on wastewater.
Did you say only 300?
Yeah, that's what is included in water and wastewater, because the water and wastewater service area city doesn't serve Meridiana. And
Okay.
So just so I understand, so the other 9,000 homes are going to be built in the other service areas then? Is that the projection? Because you said there's only 300 by Meridiana, not including Meridiana, right?
oh, sorry, can you explain now where you're saying 9,000?
I think it's different, because the 10,000 was the roadway projected.
Wait, I'm looking at your land use assumptions, right? That's what you use off for your water and sewer, right?
For the water and sewer, we used if you have the report with you, then the developments that we used for growth is included in Appendix E. Those are the only growth projections that were used in water and wastewater. These are very specific development growth. And roadway, because of the nature of the roadway calculation, they have to consider mobility and traffic that is generated by industrial users and commercial users. For water and wastewater, it's all water meter based. So we're looking at houses and the ESFCs that would be our equivalent houses that would be in commercial type of usage.
Right, and the roadway impact fees get into employment and how many trips are made, and that's a different calculation compared to this. And of course, we get your point, Matt, that there would be difference from how you look at it in terms of what the projection's going to be, in terms of how many homes are going to come, plus what kind of capital projects would be needed, and also the cost. Our consultant has used various data points or resources or past projects, and they have their basis for their calculation, based on which they've come up with both the projections and these maximum allowed numbers. Now, this committee has the option to go from maximum, which would be 100%, to all the way to 0%. Maybe not zero. We don't want it to be zero, but you have a good range depending on how y'all arrive at saying, hey, the projections that y'all have used are inflated. That's why you've got this maximum. Based on our understanding, we may want to bring it down by X% or Y%. You have that call. Rather than us having, even if we go back to the drawing board and look at other numbers and technical numbers, there's a good chance every single person will not feel that that's the most accurate number. But given that, you have the range to work in terms of percentage.
So let me ask Matt a question then. If you were sitting in a city manager's position and you had to do our job, having the experience you have, knowing the numbers that you know, keeping in mind that you guys also have to be able to sell and market those homes, that you don't outprice them to fit all these fees and still keep it profitable. Looking at these numbers, what would be comfortable for you? Because obviously this is to provide that service, right? Knowing that it's 19,000 and we have a recommendation from Alina to go with 16,000, right? That was your recommendation?
I was thinking like a range.
A range?
16 to 20.
Okay, so between 16 and 20, 20 is where we're at right now. Something that doesn't transfer that burden onto the taxpayers. That's the goal. But something that's fair, that does cover that.
Yeah, and I think.
Just in your
Yeah.
your expertise.
I think a great example of a city that is like Manvel, same size, that is looking to grow commercial, is the city of Katy. And that was one of the requests we had, is let's see what, the growing cities that you referenced in your report, none of them were around here. But I did my own research. So City of Katy has an impact fee right around $2,000.
For both water and wastewater?
Yep.
But they're already almost fully
No,
developed.
no, they have annexed land. They are still growing. And so I bring that up now I'm sure there's other cities that you can look and see, but that's the world I live in and know.
What are we at right now?
So your current impact fee total, water and wastewater combined, is $9,548. And this was, when that study was conducted, the council had decided to do the 50% credit. So it is half than what was calculated.
Can I just ask a question, just kind of going backwards just for a second? So I looked at Appendix C, so thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah.
It shows 8,600 new homes. How many homes, how many homes did Manvel do last year? Or what did Manvel average the last 5 years? And I know there's some growth there, right? But what was it?
What was your question? Say it one more time.
How many new homes did Manvel average last year, the last 5 years, on an annual
Oh,
basis?
I can send you that info. I just don't.
So that,
Green
I'm
light.
just, permit-wise.
And I think we've seen close to 1,000 per year when we kind of cumulatively take a look at things. So the 10,000 in 10 years seemed possible.
Well,
and-
but, and that's my point, so, and this is where things get diluted very quickly in my mind, because Meridiana's still going, and that's part of the 1,000. Valencia's still going, now that's part of it that's in here. But how, so now we're saying 1,000 plus Meridiana's, that's 1,500. That's just, because Meridiana's doing about 500 a year. So there's just no way the market will absorb that.
I know we do have in the agreement, though, Valencia is projected, they're to build out, there's 2,000 more available there that they're looking, and then
Yeah, and it shows 1,000
Water.
in this
Well,
one.
it shows 1,000, but really, they owe us 2,000 homes. I know that. Not owe us, but that's the term I'm using. But their growth capacity is 2,000 homes, and that's what they're aiming for. So that's 2,000. I know there's still another 1,000 to be developed with you, which may not happen in a year.
Oh, yeah, there's no, it physically can't. And so that's where I'm struggling. It's like, if this is 1,000 a year, and then you throw in the existing projects that aren't part of this, the market can't absorb it. And knowing, and then you see some of the actions council has taken denying some of those projects. It's, you layer that in, I'm just, if you put good in, you'll get good out, right? And that's all I'm suggesting. But, going back to City of Katy, it's been a couple of years, it might be 3,000, but it's in the lower thousands than it is in it has 4 digits, it doesn't have 5.
Okay. Just to add a clarification, so these are not all homes. We have also converted the commercial type properties, which is city center or the town center, into equivalent single-family unit, because commercial type properties uses a lot more water. They equivalent to a larger number of houses, so it's not just homes that here. And then in terms of Valencia, we did, and Del Bello, any development that is currently ongoing have some reservations, we have taken those out in the calculation. So this is showing the overall numbers that we had received from the developers when we requested the information on how many homes they're planning to grow in the next 10 years. They had provided us the projection on the ESFCs or general idea. And if you see the notes, we have documented how and where that information is coming from. In some cases where no information is available, like it's a open area, the city anticipates growth to happen there, exactly not certain what type, there would be an assumption in here, and we've documented that for clarity. But for others, like Valencia, Del Bello, we got the ESFCs directly from the developers. So we tried, again, it's a projection, and we tried to be as close as possible and use all the avenues to collect the information.
So Valencia is a great example. So let me understand this, because I reached out to that developer as well. And maybe I misunderstood it. Would Valencia be subject to this new impact fee, whatever is adopted?
No, Valencia will not be paying this impact fee.
So why are their numbers in this then?
Their numbers are not. We excluded them in the calculation. So this is only documentation of the homes that will be grown. But if you look at the calculation table where we are calculating the ESFCs that will actually be used for the calculation, we have taken that out as the existing reservation. So that would be table 2.3 in the report.
Table 2.3.
And also, when we are calculating usage coming from a new growth, we are not including them in the new growth because they are not paying the new impact fee.
Okay.
So, and then is the same thing apply to, I think it's Manvel Town Center where the HEB's at? Is that Manvel Town Center? Are they subject to these impact fee increases?
Joe said it would be depending on the development agreement that they
The
have.
agreement, and off the top of my head, I don't remember. I don't want to give a
Because
wrong answer.
it's my understanding they're not, but I could be wrong.
And that's what my guess would also be, because I think we have an agreement that locks in, but there's some reimbursement and some responsibilities on their end, so I'm not 100% sure if that skews it from a reimbursement or collection standpoint.
But yeah, those are, I don't see 2 points. So did,
2.3 is on page 27 in the front. 7th page in. Right there. No,
Want one more?
the one after that. There you go.
Yes, page number of the report 2-7.
So instead of the 8,600 units, it's 7,200 units? Over 10 years, is that right?
It's 7,296 equivalent single-family connections for water and 5,214 equivalent single-family connections for wastewater.
Over 10 years. That's more believable.
Well, yeah, if Manvel Town Center or I'm sorry, is it Manvel? Yeah, Manvel Town Center and Valencia add up to 2,600. So it should be even less than that.
I agree, but I think she said that that's not included in this. Their numbers are not included in this. Are you saying removing the numbers from the total should be less than this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So working
That-
backwards.
Yeah, that, I mean, just, and I didn't check it all, but I'm just going through and looking at that. But
So the ones that are not included in this, and I
Yeah.
can read you exactly from
yeah, so let us
this
know.
table, so I don't say anything incorrect. So any reservations that are in Valencia, Del Bello Lake, and the BCS, which is the Manvel Crossing development, that would not be paying any additional impact fees due to existing development agreements have been excluded from these numbers. And we looked through development agreements and worked with Jose and Dan to identify which ESFCs would be paying future impact fees and included those to the best of our understanding.
On that note, Meridiana already has their own agreements as well, so this does not affect them.
Right. And then because the city doesn't serve them water and wastewater, they are not included in this.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, and I'll just state the obvious. Meridiana would love to see the highest possible. But I'm not advocating for that at all, because that will, you know, the highest possible will drive everybody away and, you know, create a monopoly for Meridiana. I am not advocating that.
Yeah.
You know, what I'm advocating for is the city wants quality development. And in order to track quality development, it starts with quality numbers. And you know, I'd rather debate over this and get it right, so the city is in the best possible position to attract quality development, especially quality commercial. The city's in a position, from the standpoint that I see and the trajectory they're on, is they want to move on beyond big residential developments, and they want to attract commercial.
True.
And that's, you know, to do that, you know, the commercial, these fees are going to be pretty high for commercial folks. So that's all, you
So
know,
who
so
do these
if we
fees
need,
impact the most?
what's that?
If Meridiana is good, Valencia is good, who do these impact the most?
The
Commercial?
new people that want to develop, whether it's commercial or residential.
So the biggest.
Any new developer
Any new
coming in
development.
or into, okay.
So according to their table E, the top three is Manvel Town Center with 1,600 equivalent units. Manvel City Center, where's Manvel City Center?
Behind, like Del Bello,
That's
Valencia.
coming. It's not developed yet.
Yeah, that's
It's the
15.
160 acres.
Oh, okay. That's 1,500 units. And then the next one is,
And we don't even have an agreement on, that's at a complete pause. There's no forecastable anything there that we know of.
There is a concept plan adopted. There are
But-
uses included by the council at this point, which is the reality we have, and we can project based off of that. It could be slightly minus, slightly plus, but we do have something to go based on. An
Technically,
action was
we do,
taken by council, so
Yeah.
that's the reality we have right now.
yeah, so it looks like, I mean, the top four, Manvel Town Center, Manvel City Center, Presidio, and City Central. And those, to me, I think those are all commercially anchored in a big way.
You make a strong point there, because my understanding is the higher the fees, the slower the growth, right? And as an advocate for balanced, responsible, sustainable growth, like we said in the last meeting, we don't want to attract businesses that cannot sustain the growth and end up biting more than they can actually chew, which we see a lot in this economy. That's a reality. We see this in the economy. We see it, sorry to say it, but I love to use Pearland Town Center as an example because they started that development a little over a decade ago, and they can't keep more than 10 anchor stores there. They just do not succeed. And they have the high-density apartments all around it. They have the dense homes. They have 288. They have a lot of people coming there. The thing that scares me as a whole with anything when we're talking about attracting commercial properties or quality developers is no matter what we do, it is going to be difficult to bring sustainable business because it's already dense around us. And I don't believe, based on what you can just take a look around, that we have currently the density to support that. However,
You're right.
what I do see and I do know is that there is a big push to keep the home builders and keep the home growth here slow while attracting good quality commercial developers on the 288 side, right? That's a big thing. Anything close to the freeway. To your point, Matt, yes, we want to look at attracting quality commercial clients. So just for the sake of an exercise or purposes to land on what this translates in the real world, because oftentimes we find ourselves making these decisions and their numbers and we're willing and dealing, and then the consequence of that is no one comes. And some people may love that. But the benefit of attracting quality commercial businesses that can generate sales tax revenue is to alleviate us having to raise taxes on our existing residential customers. That's how this all plays in, and that's why it's important that we are advocating for something that doesn't eventually translate in any fees, water fees going up, so that we're responsible in saying, okay, we realize that we want to do better at attracting quality commercial developers that will be great partners that see Manvel as a good investment, but that's fair. We want to be, number one, protect our citizens and attract them. So what does that look like? With that being said, if I look at this, and I'm just going to use this for exercise purposes, which one of these would a Gringo's Mexican restaurant use? Let's just use that for a hypothetical scenario, and or a movie theater, which I don't see coming here because there's one right down the road. But just for exercise purposes, how much would a business like that have to invest apart from buying the land, developing the land, giving half of their land for drainage, and then also having to invest in a huge pipe with an upfront water and wastewater fee? What does that look like?
I'm not exactly sure what size meter they would have.
Okay.
So if they had
Maybe
a
Joe's
1-inch.
might know.
I'm not sure either, and I
Someone
wasn't
ask our
prepared
big
for
boy AI tools. Just
figuring
for,
out which specific
Usually,
meter
we've
size
seen
they-
like 1.5
Okay.
inch meters for commercial type developments that are
Yeah.
restaurants. But as you get bigger, like apartments, they have larger meters. Sometimes they have 6-inch meters.
But most of the time, we've seen 2-inch being used.
so it's equivalent to 5 homes, a 2-inch. So if it is 2 inches, that number translates to an upfront cost for this fee of $134,000. How much does it cost to build? Do you have an idea of, like, a build out on a,
A restaurant? On a Gringo's? Oh, it's probably 5 million.
I was about to say. So it's a few $1,000,000. So in the grand scheme of things, if I have a business concept and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a loan to build out a Gringo's, that's $5 million. $134,000 in the grand scheme of things isn't that bad when I'm looking at it on the commercial side.
And you also have to think that when it's all done, the Gringos is up and running, and
It's a
we
one-time
are
fee.
serving the whole thing. Eventually, there's cost for that service that we are providing as well. So there's that aspect too.
Say that again?
Yeah, I didn't.
I didn't follow you.
I
So
didn't either.
what I was saying is like the impact fee is for the capital improvement
Of course.
needed to provide
To
that
service them,
service. Or
yes.
just like the word says, the impact that this would create on the system that we have to serve that use, correct? Ishita?
Yeah, it is like the new infrastructure the city would have to build or pay for in order to serve these new incoming developments is what is going in the calculation as the one-time cost.
Right.
So,
The projection is based on their calculation, which I know Matt said is significantly higher, both in terms of use as well as the cost. But what they're saying is that's what the impact could be based on this calculation. And if we are taking that max amount, based on that projection and calculation, you're covered. But then you, as this body, making a recommendation to the council, you can say, you can lower it. But if for just an assumption, if that projection is accurate, and if that is the cost we will have eventually at some point, that difference between your recommendation and what council adopts would have to go somewhere.
exactly,
That's
it
what,
has to
like
come from
Ishita's
somewhere.
very initial statement.
Yeah. Let me just
In
let me just add-
council, we
So
could
from
also
a recommendation
recommend.
standpoint, and I know, I mean, we can take this exercise as further as
Yes. Yeah, ad
possible,
nauseam, yeah.
academically, or even just for discussion, and from like the benefit that the community gets and all of that. However, this is a statutory requirement, I guess, that we complete this update process. This process also has to follow a certain timeline, both from a budget perspective, because they have limited hours they can put on, staff has limited hours that we can put on, and then state requires certain specific milestones and benchmarks for
Exactly.
the process to be completed. So we would love to get our projections as accurate as possible. But like Matt said, I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, and it's just impossible, if you ask me. I could be wrong, but it's impossible to get that accurate projection.
Are
But
we-
y'all have the benefit, depending on where you are with, okay, hey, I agree 100% with this, so I'm on the side of recommending the maximum
I
allowed.
can't agree with it unless I
Or-
understand where the numbers are coming from and how it's going to affect, which is why I asked that question. Because if a Gringos has the money to invest $5 million, and this is, I love Gringos, so just saying, just as an exercise, a business like that can afford to do that. It's not that outrageous. Where it feels outrageous to me is when I focus only on the single-family home. But anything above that is probably going to be commercial. So, go ahead, sorry.
But also, we're detracting smaller, like mom and pop type stuff too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a great
And-
point.
and I-
The small, in the shopping
But what I was going
centers.
to ask is, are we required to send a number, like one number to council, or can we send a range with our recommendations as to why we gave that range? Hey, we're giving this range of 16 to 20,000 because we feel this, and this, and then they do with it what they need to? Or do we need to say, we recommend $18,000?
I haven't done this enough. What I've seen is like percentages or the number, like this is the maximum and the body recommends 100%, that number, or say 70% or 10% reduction, 20%.
Yeah.
That's what my experience is, but Ishita is way more experienced than me, so she'll.
One more question. Can we recommend a different fee based on residential and commercial? Or is it just on meter size?
It would be based on meter size, but you can estimate what meter size commercial may be, and then recommend, these are maximum allowable for each of these meter sizes. You can choose different number for each of these line items.
So I would feel comfortable if maybe what we did was gave a little more for the homeowners, for those people who don't have that, and maybe anything that's like the 3/4. Maybe we recommend something lower there, but as it scales up, because if you're gonna need this big of a pipe, you're gonna have the money for it. It's like a water park, right? So that's just my logic, to kind of meet in the middle, but be very fair to the taxpayers and the future growth and the limitation. This is going to bear an impact on our infrastructure, no matter how we slice and dice it. That's the long term. That's our responsibility.
So you're saying adjust the fee to the size of the pipe?
No, no,
I
I'm
mean,
saying,
that's what they've done there, but you're saying like give leniency to the one.
I'm saying, yeah, this recommendation, maybe we go here to 20,000 instead of the 25, just for this one. And then all the other ones, we recommend the maximum allowable.
Can I just, you just say one thing?
No, just kidding.
I love gringos too. There's one caveat to that.
Okay,
When Gringos is looking to deploy $5 million, this is one piece of the puzzle.
of course,
And,
that's a fact.
and if you have an adjacent city that has similar demographics, similar traffic patterns, and you have to make a business decision, this factors in. And yeah, Gringos can probably afford it, but there's also business behind this. And so it's not that easy. The assumption is maybe they are coming to Manvel, but I have yet to meet a commercial owner that isn't driven by numbers.
I agree with that statement. And the reality is that without you saying it, we are all very aware that there is a neighboring city that is booming and that is attracting more and more businesses. Now, I don't know if it's responsible or not, but I would love to have those very high-quality restaurants because those bring in those tax dollars, and we would want to attract something like that. So I see your point, Matt, because that's basically, it's a numbers game.
Yeah. And we both were curious when you mentioned that Katie's impact fee is.
Yeah.
What was the amount you said?
So the last time, it was, I can't remember, 2,000, 3,000 total between water and sewer. They own their water plants, they own their own sewer plants.
And I've been looking.
You can't find
We've
it?
been searching, we can't find it. This is the ChatGPT version.
I know it
ChatGPT
makes
says.
mistakes.
So,
It
ChatGPT
makes
says.
mistakes.
But we looked everywhere else
Okay.
before going to ChatGPT. ChatGPT says
So-
they haven't adopted water and wastewater impact fees.
Oh.
And what they have is a temporary fee for stormwater, which is in that range. And their code of ordinances say that depending on what is adopted as an impact fee, if there is a larger amount adopted, the developer would be responsible for the difference. That's what the ChatGPT version.
So, no,
But I'm curious. I
I've paid
definitely
it,
have to
so I
do
know.
a research. Yeah.
So I can't remember, and it's graduated up as time has gone on, but, it's in the $2,000 to $3,000 range, and I can look and see, but it's, but Katie's in a very similar situation.
Yeah.
They're trying to grow commercial, and so for what it's worth, so.
Let me just do some research real quick. ChatGPT research. I don't trust ChatGPT.
We
It makes
looked
so
at the
many errors.
schedule of fees, we looked at the code of ordinances,
Yeah.
but somehow it's not available.
and
But
I
I'm
have
sure they have, I
Yeah.
have a feeling
'Cause
they
they-
have impact fees.
They absolutely do, because they have their own water and sewer plants, and they've expanded off of them, and
Right.
so.
And we'll reach out to them for
Yeah.
more information. But like my point being, and these conversations are great. I mean, you definitely want to know where the numbers are coming from, and that's why we have Ishita here because like we had mentioned previously, the initial plan was not for her to be here, but we wanted to make sure if y'all had those questions, she's here
Yeah.
to answer them. But at the same time, like I said, this is a statutory requirement. There's a timeline. There's
Yeah.
so. And your recommendation could be any range.
Okay, just because I wanted to know, I'm not a development expert. I have them here. I asked the erroneous ChatGPT, so take this like 80% accurate. I asked it, what development typically needs higher or larger than a 1-inch water connection? And it says large multifamily projects, hotels, restaurants, especially with commercial kitchens, daycares, schools, assisted living facilities, office, retail centers, industrial manufacturing, warehouses, large immigration's on my mind lately, developments with fire sprinklers, and master planned subdivisions, where the internal distribution system may use a larger main, even though each individual home is a 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch. Okay. That just helps me a little bit because I don't want to just think, okay, your scenario where Gringos has 5 million, and yes, they're looking at the dollars for their upfront costs. But if I'm looking at something like you said, right? A shopping center is gonna lease it out to smaller mom and pop, businesses or franchises. And so with that being said, those are in here as well. So guys, I'm torn. I'm stuck between, look, if you're a commercial and you need to be able to sustain yourself, I want you to come to Manvel and be sustainable and have the money to be successful. And this is part of the cost of doing business, as we know. And so where I do feel like we can give a little is in the single-family home connections. I feel like that would be fair. And then maybe anything over the 1 inch we can talk about, because that's 40,000 right off the bat if you need a 1 inch, which is just a little more than a 3/4 inch. So, I mean, we paid top dollar experts to bring us these numbers. Obviously, it's up to us to come up with, what we feel good about. And it's just a recommendation because trust me, council is going to go over this and they're going to pull from it, right? They're not just going to take it from a grain of salt. So, I'm in favor of maybe dropping the 3/4 to $20,000 instead of 25 here, and then keeping the rest here. That's my recommendation.
What page are you on?
The last one of the packet.
Oh, the one we were originally on.
Right
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
You have it in your
Oh.
hand.
Ah,
Right
thank
there. Yes, ma'am. So this would be, right here's, basically this
Okay.
is the single-family home, and this is the, right, it's equivalent to that. And then this
so this is what
where the
essentially a
commercials-
developer would pay.
Yep. Developer or commercial
Or-
institution, right?
Yeah, somebody that just needs that size pipe.
And so the numbers drastically go up. So, yeah. And not really drastically. There's actually, if you do the math, it's not multiplied number by number, right? Because if this fits, well, actually, yeah, it is. Hold on.
Yeah, equivalent.
The
single-family.
multiplier
No, it's
is
not.
on the second column, yeah.
Huh?
The multiplier is on the second column.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm like, wait, hold on. My glasses would help. Okay. Matt, do you think that that would be a fair number?
I do not. But,
What's the water right now?
so this is, I
course
think,
not.
I
Just
think
the
it's,
water
I
right
think
now
it's
for
fair. I think it's
Just the
fair for
water?
Meridiana.
For a 3/4.
Because-
just
If it were you
Yeah.
having to pay these
No.
rates?
No,
No?
I wouldn't be, I
Oh,
wouldn't
do
be
you
in
have the
there.
number?
No.
Or just the water impact fee right now?
So even with
here's-
this-
And here's the thing is HEB cut a deal, the Weitzman guys cut a deal for
Yeah.
lower numbers, Valencia cut a lower deal, Meridiana did, the quality folks, that's the trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get it. That's, therein lies the challenge. So I think,
And you have nothing in this, so you're
No.
just speaking from
Yeah.
experience. And so this is
And-
why it's valuable to have a developer, which I will say people try to make developers out to be the enemy, but we have one here that is.
No, not you.
Not you guys here, but, social media,
yeah, I'm-
and yet they buy their homes, which is hilarious, but
No, but that is a
Fine
reality.
balance.
it's a fine balance.
That is a reality we always have to consider, whether we do the comprehensive planning process,
Yeah.
whether it's the impact fee process, even if it's a zoning regulation. There is a balance between the market reality, what the community's aspirations are, the economics that the developer has to deal with, given the market reality, and the quality and the economy that municipality has to balance for their citizens. So it's a balancing act that we have to do.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a statutory requirement that we have somebody from the developer community as part of this board. So this discussion is valuable.
Extremely valuable.
We just have to make sure that we have a recommendation.
yeah, we gotta have a recommendation.
Okay, so
Mr.
what's the
Rogers, you
recommendation?
had-
Yeah, what was the?
So,
You had asked a question about what is the existing water impact fee. It's $2,441 for 3/4 inch meters, and the wastewater is $7,107.
What was your question?
7,000 something and 2,000 something, okay.
For the current,
How much was just the water and how much was just the,
which is the
and
Today.
when did it go up to 2,000? Do you remember what year?
2021.
2021. Oh, okay, yeah.
the current rate, right?
Ish, yeah, it's like, 7,000 and something. So before that, it was 1,800.
It's more than
The,
doubled.
the water before that was only 1,800, so it only went up a little bit.
And so now they're more than doubling.
And I guess it was like a 50% of what the maximum allowed was, correct? In
Yes.
2021? I think it was 50%.
So, and I remember the last, in 2021, when this was in front of council, and again, I was loving it. And what council adopted and what the maximum rate were way apart. I think in 2021, and Joe's correct me, I think it was around $20,000, the maximum, if I remember right.
Oh, 1,000?
That is,
It
that
was
is
so-
correct.
She said.
But, well, was it?
Well, no.
No, that's the current.
9,000 is what was adopted.
Maximum allowed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
So
what
the
they, I guess,
maximum
voted
allowed,
on was the 9,000, is what you're saying. Like in 2021, the maximum allowed was,
Like 20,000.
20,000,
It was something
but they-
really high,
they
And they
voted on,
adopted nine.
something lower, yeah.
and
yeah.
and
like
they
half-
adopted
half of that.
50% of what the maximum allowed was.
Got it.
Because I remember, so I will say this, if you look at the Houston area, this will probably be one of the highest at the maximum allowable.
Well, we had, I think last time, is it in here, a list of all the cities? Because I remember,
Well,
I remember
But
seeing
they
Dayton.
weren't close.
There was one or two that was nearby, but that was it.
So there's Fulshire, which is at
So if we-
28,882 total.
And I mean, that's,
And then you have League City, which is at
Yeah. Well, and this was
14,825 total.
I paid.
I mean, both. You have Pearland,
was the
which is
one.
at 9,265 water, wastewater combined. Alvin is at 9,200.
Is that on a chart? Where do you see that at,
It
Joe?
was part of the presentation we had.
Last time? Okay,
last
gotcha.
time, yeah.
So Pearland's 9,000, Alvin's 9,000, everything adjacent, we know Iowa Colony's 0. Who else is adjacent that,
Not exactly adjacent, but we have League City at 14,825.
League City's at 14,000?
Yeah. And then we have Fulshire at 28,882.
28,000? Okay.
Okay. Sorry, explain to me at the last meeting, something about if we keep it too low, there's a risk to the ratepayers.
Yeah, that's right.
Ratepayers being like,
Ishita can explain it way better
Okay,
than
can-
me.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, if you, because this is calculated based on the infrastructure that you would have to build and the growth's impact to the infrastructure, if you decide to have an impact fee that is much lower, and your
That somebody's
cost comes
gonna have
out
to pay for it.
exactly that, you're replacing that or replenishing that money from water, wastewater rates. Basically, your rates would have to go up to compensate for that.
so when they evaluated this in 2021, and they kept it at 50% from what was maximum allowed, did the rate increase in that time to have to cover those costs, or has it stayed the same, the other water rates?
So the water wastewater rate study was done right along or completed right after the impact fees. So the difference basically was put into the rate study for the calculations. And I believe the city adopted a volume, gradual rate increase to not have all of the increase at the same time, but built it in the difference. So yeah, the 50%, the remaining 50% went into the rate calculations.
Okay. Okay, sorry, explain it again like I'm dumb.
Yeah. So the.
Did ratepayers have to pay more because the impact fee was not high enough?
I believe so.
We did vote on a small increase.
Okay.
We did. But not a
Okay.
giant one, but we did.
And I
did
do
have to
feel like
adjust
my
that.
bill went up a stitch, like $20.
Was
Yeah.
that for
But-
capital improvements or was that for operations? Does anybody know?
I am not 100% sure, but
Technically, you can't charge the water side for this. You can't collect like that, but the fees did go up.
and like Ishita said, the difference, whatever the difference was, and I'm not 100% sure if it was the difference of whole 50%, but whatever the difference was, it was distributed in a way that it's not like a abrupt jump, but it would eventually catch up at some point.
I just looked up, and it says Pearland is the highest fee in the entire surrounding area, the Houston Metro. They take the maximum allowable and then apply a 50%, and they are the highest. And Houston, from what
Yeah.
So that was, but Joe says it was 9,000, Pearland's 9,000.
I'm not
It's
100% sure.
currently
if that's right.
9,200.
Allowable and what?
it says that from the maximum allowable, I'll read it to you.
So like our 25,000.
It says, the
But-
highest surrounding Houston area, Pearland, likely one of the highest direct municipal impact fee systems. Specifically charges water and wastewater impact fees under this chapter. The city calculates the maximum fee and then applies 50% discount to the maximum allowable amount.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we did last time.
Exactly. So now they're already established, right? They've been developing over the last 15 years. So I don't want to do what Pearline is doing. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I want to do something that is fair and makes sense here and doesn't end up costing our normal residents to shelter the
Right.
burden
Yeah.
of this.
So we don't have to increase.
So,
the-
thank you for your perspective, Matt, because it's extremely valuable. Chat, I don't trust 100%, but it's there. And obviously, the paid experts over here to give us this number. I would feel comfortable, like I said earlier, maybe we adopt this. What was the number? It was 9,000. And
Yeah,
so
9548 is what it's currently.
I'm sorry, I can't get behind, now that I know that, I personally can't get behind going a maximum of 25,000 because that's more than doubling.
Yeah, I agree.
More than doubling. And even if you accepted this and then took the 50% off, it basically lands where we are today. So we do need some growth on that to sustain the future, but not the full amount.
Right.
And I hope council goes back and listens to this to save them time,
Well, that's what we need to do, I think, is give them our specific.
our specific recommendation, yes. So with that said,
So 18 something would be doubling it, or 19,000.
okay, so if we took the maximum, which is 25, and we did 50% of that, that would be 12,000. And that would be an increase of about 20%, mental math?
It would be, yeah, $12,697.
Okay, and 12,000 related to 9,000?
30%.
30%. Okay, I was off by 10. So 30% increase if we went with that number, where we take the maximum and give a 50% credit. Is it the same number all the way down?
Yeah, whatever, then it just times by that multiplier right there.
But I'm wondering
Do you
if
get what-
today's
do you
numbers
follow what-
follow
so-
the same. No. What the math that I just did out loud, mental math.
30% more from what it is now.
Got it.
If we take off
Increase it by
50%
30%.
credit. If we take the maximum and then allow 50% credit, it would still generate 30% more than what we're collecting today. Yes.
Yes.
Can you imagine in the future, it's just gonna be computers talking to each other because no one will have the brain to like question, critical think this stuff?
Robots.
Okay. Okay. So with that being said, so looking at this, does anybody have any input or any thoughts about this exercise that we just did to come up with this number? If we take the maximum allowable and then suggest to council to give a 50% credit, that still generates a 30% increase on what we're collecting today.
Explain to me this 50% credit.
Yeah. So, there's.
Like, we charge 25,000, but because we like you, we're giving you 50%?
I
or
know.
something?
You're setting, I think what you're suggesting is you set the impact fee collection rate at 50% of what is the calculated max allowable, which is what
Yes.
was done previously.
Okay.
The 50% credit, what is in the Texas Local Government Code, is slightly different concept than that. So we can do a 50% credit method by applying a complete maximum allowable and cutting it by half, or we can look at the actual credit analysis, what the city would be able to do bond and all the good stuff that Rosie had provided us, and do a calculated credit. So when we came up with this calculated number, we went through the more detailed calculation method that was a much lower credit than 50%. 50% is the I would say, overall credit. The Texas Local Government Code suggests that if you don't have enough information or you want to go through that effort, you can cut it by half. So that's one portion of it, but you can recommend any collection rate. You can say, recommend to council that collect 50% as what this amount is, because as Jose was saying, you can recommend any amount that is lower than the maximum allowed, or you can say 80% of what this amount is, or 60% of what this amount is, based on the conversation that you're having and what seems reasonable for the city.
I feel comfortable with this number that we landed on, recommending the maximum allowable and extending the 50% credit, because
Which would
that
put it around the 12.
It goes up a little bit. It's not these exorbitant numbers. I mean, it really feels more digestible, and I don't think it would take us out of the wheelhouse for gringos to want to come. Somebody can send this to Russell.
Just to make sure I understand, you're saying that let's do 50% of the maximum allowable impact fee, which results in a 30% increment from what we have today. correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. If somebody buys an acre or 2 acres and they want to build their own house, they're paying this $12,000 fee.
Not necessarily,
No?
only if
Okay.
you connect to the city's water wastewater
yes.
system.
Do you have to connect to the water system if it's available, or could they opt to just do a well?
Yes.
Like if the neighbors
can.
have the water, city water, and they're like, I'm not paying $12,000, I'll do a well. Is that
My
allowed?
recollection is, I think it is allowed.
Okay.
I thought the city has a CCNN required.
That's what I thought, but
I'm thinking probably
In the water and
the
sewer.
existing one. Yeah, I
They have a
think you are
CCNN by
right.
state, and they.
Yeah,
it's required.
if the line is there,
Facilities are there.
if the
Right,
line is
that's what I'm saying.
existing,
So
yeah.
if the facilities are there, then, okay.
okay. Because that,
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking about like our loose lane situation where the line came after the home and they had the option to continue. That's what I was thinking, sorry.
But if it's there, I believe with this.
no, like if somebody wanted, just it's there. Like let's say on Lewis, there's 2 acres, somebody buys it, wants to build a house, and they're like, I don't want to pay $12,000, I'll just put a well. But then all the neighbors have city water.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know,
Let me go back and double check now that
Okay.
I'm not 100.
well, and then I'm just curious, like, do other cities, whatever that fee is, well, I don't think Pearland has any more land available for an acreage home or something, but, I mean, I don't know. I just know that would probably deter somebody, not like, but,
So it would go up to.
but I do agree. I don't want the rates increasing for the ratepayers. These numbers, I agree with you, they're probably a little inflated. So I think what we've all discussed is a good
Yeah.
compromise to kind of protect all parties to the best of the way we can. Well, actually, we're not making a decision. We're just
Yeah.
recommending.
Okay, so do we feel comfortable making a motion to recommend this? What would be the next step, Jose?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you all
I guess,
saying that you're doing this for each line, for each meter size, or just residential?
All of them.
All.
All the way
So it would
across.
apply, it would
What would need
apply.
a 10-inch meter?
It would
Or
apply.
How big of a building
The
is
50,
a
The total,
10-inch?
right?
yeah, to each. So
That
the
seems
50%
ginormous,
would be,
like-
you'd cut that by 50%.
Okay.
The data center, which we don't want here.
No.
Is what she's saying, right?
Yeah, because it sounded like at one point you were only wanting to do it for,
Oh,
The
yeah, that's right.
residential,
So,
so
Chris,
is it-
yeah, that's a great point. Are you
No.
saying 50%?
All
for
the
everything?
way.
all the way.
Because that's what we're charging now.
Okay.
And so that would make whoever owns the Gringos
Gringos.
restaurant, right, happy, hypothetically.
So I guess the next step is somebody makes a motion to recommend council to do that, and we vote.
Okay, quick question, because, I'm the rural person.
You're not.
Can we recommend a different amount for that individual wanting to buy an acre and build on their lot, being able to connect for a few $1,000s versus $12,000? Is that possible?
I mean, you may have to go by
I
the meter size.
don't think the impact that would make would really cause a rate increase. I think it's these bigger, massive, you know what I mean? Like,
Meter size. I mean, a house on a
I don't know.
50-foot
What are y'all's
versus a house
thoughts?
on
Is
a
that,
acre, or it's, depending on what your meter size is, that's what the, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that is correct. So because water, wastewater is, your impact fees are set by meter size, not by land use type, you would have to choose something based on the meter size.
okay.
Okay, so do I have a motion to recommend the maximum allowable impact fees, water and wastewater impact fees, plus a 50% credit?
Wait, are you making a motion?
I'm asking if anybody wants to make a motion. If not, I'll make the motion.
Okay, I have another dumb question.
Pause the motion.
Sorry.
Okay, it's not done, I promise.
What if, like, if we want to entice people to come buy an acre, 2 acres, and build their home, what if we made an impact fee just for that was half of that, like $6,000?
I don't
Does that hurt ratepayers at all? Maybe
I
I'm
think
just,
it doesn't, based on
Maybe
the
I'm
way you're positioning it. Obviously, that one, in the grand scheme of things, it probably doesn't. But I think the way the code is written, we have to
Because
pass
it's
it
per the
based
meter.
on the
Okay.
meter size.
okay, I understand. I will not be stubborn.
Yeah, we cannot be arbitrary. There may be other avenues to incentivize, or not incentivize, but other avenues to promote a certain type of development or a certain type of,
There's other ways to incentivize through the MEDC, through, well, that would be for businesses. But, we can get creative with
Okay.
other things.
Okay. Thank you for putting up with me.
Broker reimbursements, realtor credit. All right, so do we have a motion? Who wants to make the motion? No one. Okay,
I'll
fine.
make, okay.
Go for
ahead.
it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, what are we approving?
Oh, the maximum allowable with a 50% discount
Credit.
credit.
I'll second. All in favor?
We got 3, we're good. Does it have to be
Has to be
unanimous?
4.
Does it have to be unanimous? Oh, okay.
Has to be 4. Yes.
If it has to be,
All right.
then I'll do it.
Recommendation passes. It's just a recommendation.
I think 3 is good. Does it have to be a unanimous vote, Ishita?
Yeah, I think that would be your city policy question too.
I think
Quorum, yeah,
3 because there's only,
No, but we have.
because you have 5, so 3, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
be it.
it passes.
Okay.
All we're doing is recommending it. Council will then take this and make their decision.
Yes.
All right. Moving on.
Thank you.
Just to add, there is a letter that the council will require this recommendation in written format.
Yes.
So if you could provide the letter, I have provided a sample letter to Tammy. She could modify with the recommendation that you provided and send it to you for review and signature.
And then we all need to sign that letter, correct?
You could sign it as the
Chair.
chair.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you for all the questions. Good discussion.
Okay, moving
Thank you,
on to
Ishita.
the fascinating road impact fees. All right. So agenda item A is receive a presentation on the cost per service unit calculations, impact fees for roadway impact fee program, and potential fee collection considerations. We did get the presentation, but I know we have updates, correct?
So it'll be similar slightly. We have Eddie, who's joining us remotely.
Eddie.
If you remember last meeting, we had the presentation, and there were some questions about the land use assumptions and employment projection. And Eddie's team did go back, take a look, added a few things, and Tammy has provided you a memo from Eddie and his team that details out what they found and the changes they're making. And at this point, Eddie's going to discuss some of those things and the next steps and the action you all need to take and all of that.
Yeah, thank you, Joes. So I guess really first things first. So we will not be discussing the cost per service unit for roads, primarily because of your very observant comments from our last meeting. And those were the comments on the LUA. And because roads is a new program, it requires a two-step public hearing process. Step one is adoption of LUA and CIP. Step two is the consideration on the imposition of the impact fee. So we're really at step one.
Eddie?
And so, yes.
Eddie, excuse me. So your audio is a little lower than what we usually get. I know we are going to check it on our end, but can you check your mic to see if your mic is at maximum, I guess?
It is. I'm at full throttle here. I'm at. Can you? Do you want to wait till BT or IT takes a look
He's
at it
here.
real quick?
Yes, he's here. We are going to take care of it from our.
Okay, let's
Okay.
see.
Check.
A little bit higher.
Check one. Check
There we
one.
go.
Check.
That's better.
Now I'm going to come across with a big booming voice, right?
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay. All right. So, So we were talking about two-step process for imposition of road impact fees, and so we're really at step one. And prior to the discussion last time, in which we agreed to go back and take another look at the LUA, we had already started the public hearing process. The report was already completed. It was sealed. You all signed off on it, and that was made available. That public hearing was held open, but because you have some further comments on it, we're talking with staff. We haven't finalized this, but things are pointing to a reboot of the initial public hearing, because we do have some. We don't really have a change in the growth expectations. It's just we're improving the assignment of where development's occurring, the reallocation of some of the employment. And so that's what I want to cover tonight. So I just want to be clear. So tonight we're going to review LUA, the modified LUA, and the CIP. And because there may be a change, we feel from a transparency perspective in Chapter 395 that we're going to reboot the public hearing process, okay? So I do have a kind of a PowerPoint presentation to kind of hit the highlights of the memo. And so I'm going to go ahead and launch that just so we're all talking from the same deal here. And really, let's start with, there's two components, right? LUA and CIP. Let's start with the CIP. So the previous CIP, and hopefully you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor moving here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was comment about pearland sites and whether that was fully in the city, partially in. And we went back and took a closer look. It's partially in, and it does some wonky stuff north of State Highway 6, enough to where we concluded, let's just take it out now. Chances are probably not going to do improvements within the first 5 years. If something does pop and there are some improvements, can be added in a first programmatic update, or if the city elects to build, that cost can be removed. So what we are going to do is we're going to flat out remove pearland sites altogether, along with a little connection piece. These were running along your city limit lines, and you have kind of some unique city limit lines along pearland sites all the way down the eastern side of your city. So we said, you know what, let's just get rid of it altogether. So we're removing project, and it had a variety of project numbers because we're on a segment basis. So we're taking that out altogether along with that connection in the far southern area, okay? So that's going to be the only change that we're going to make on the roadway CIP side. Joes, was there anything else that you had on Pearland sites that we want to add to this?
No, I think it was just Pearland sites and that little piece that
connection.
connected. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any comments from the advisory committee on this?
Not yet. Looking
Okay.
through.
Yeah, and this is only the project piece, okay? We're going to get to the growth piece here in a minute. So there are other segments, if you can see my cursor moving on the far north. They look like they're right on the edge. In some cases, some of these projects are half in, so we've only accounted for the portion of projects that are within the city limits. By law, roads can only consider the current city limits. And so, but we've taken that into consideration everywhere else. But because Pearland sites had really unique stuff, we decided just to remove it altogether, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Going to move on to the LUA. So you might recall, let me go back here. We're dealing with 4 service areas for roads. The maximum is 6 miles by law, so that improvements in one side of town, if there's monies collected, they're not going to pay for improvements on the other side of town, okay? So we developed a service area structure. 1 is that far west of 288. 2 is between 288 and Masters, and the southern boundary is the railroad. And then 3 is east of Masters and the railroad, and then obviously 4 would be south of the railroad, okay? So the LUA that was initially approved, we went in and took a deeper dive specifically on the employment side or the non-residential side. The notion was that the population we felt pretty comfortable with, and the reason there's a difference there, you see 2,500 dwelling units added. That's south of the NSF over the 10-year window. And this data comes from
See,
known,
this is too small.
it's in the memo. It's also in the memo. You'll see it on page 3 of the memo.
No, I see it. It's printed. It's just, even with my readers on, it's tiny.
Okay,
It's
sorry.
just fuzzy.
Okay. Bottom line, we left the population alone, okay? And so again, the big difference between Ashida's water, wastewater numbers and ours is she didn't have the southern area outside of her water service area south that included all the Meridian and the whole southern sector of the city. This one does, because obviously it's in your city limits, okay? So we left the population or the added dwelling units. Our numbers are rooted in the water, wastewater numbers, only the portions within the city limits, okay? They had some areas like out over in the western sector in one, you know, some of their areas cover some area that's outside of the city limits. So we had to exclude some of that stuff. So that's what caused us to do a deeper dive on the non-residential side, if you will, okay? So these were the numbers, and we're going to walk through the components, each component, okay? But bottom line, we had anticipated square footage by service area for non-residential, 3 categorical areas. Basic, which is kind of industrial types development, service, which is like office, and then retail, obviously, is the commercial component. Okay?
Where on this memo is that number? Can you put your cursor over it so I know what you're talking about? I know
Okay,
the top part is population, correct?
That's correct, population.
Okay.
And then the next box is
Service area?
The industrial, right? Industrial growth. Then there's the office growth, and there's the retail commercial growth.
Where does it say
the-
industrial?
It doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't.
It's called basic. Now, great question. The reason we call it basic service retail is all these numbers originally were rooted from the HGAC travel demand model. Those are the 3 categorical areas they use for regional travel demand. And that's the general trip generation and assignment process for modeling everywhere, is those 3 categorical areas, okay? They have special generators, but we keep it simple here for the basic service retail, okay? So, but basic equates to industrial, manufacturing, light industrial, your distribution warehouses, services, obviously office, medical office, schools, institutional type of employment associated there. Your retail obviously is your whole range of commercial retail, okay? These square footages, along with a service unit generation, Sheeta uses the meter, Rhodes uses what's called the vehicle mile. And that's the trip characteristics of these three categorical areas, these numbers here, okay? And that the trip characteristic is basically trip rate times trip length. So we have the same service unit that we're using to measure capacity, the same service unit that we're measuring demand placed on the system, and then more importantly, the same service unit for anticipating future growth from development applications, okay? So we have a service unit generation for each categorical area, okay? There was a lot of questions on this last time. I want to make sure you understand that. So the basic and service, those, since that has your industrial, that has your office, those are going to have longer trip rates, and your commercial retail is going to have shorter trip. I'm sorry, it's going to have, the first are going to have longer trip lengths. The commercial retail is going to be shorter because obviously things are a lot closer. Like case in point, your trip from home to work. If you're lucky enough to work remote, good for you. But if you're driving to work, you're driving a lot further to go to the office than you are if you're going to a retail or daycare or fast food or Gringos. Hopefully Gringos comes, okay? So we have these service unit generations, which then the size of development or the square footage anticipated times the service unit generation gives us vehicle miles, okay? So this is the high level. And where we were last time was all of the anticipated growth resulted in about 81,000 vehicle miles of demand. So I'm going to flash forward here. Table on the right is where the amended numbers are, okay? Bottom line, our trip generation is going to drop 81,000 to about 56,000. And why is that? Well, we're going to walk through that, okay? So we're going to start with, we've already said that population, we made no changes. We felt comfortable with the added residential dwelling units by service area over the 10-year window, okay? The basic employment, we'll start with the industrial. That's where we started to make our initial shift. So in the previous numbers, we had about 165,000 spread across the west service area 1 and 2. And, we thought there might be some FedEx, that there might be some kind of distribution or high tech or something in there. But we heard and by the way, we worked with Joe's to receive what they had. We went through with a finer tooth comb on known anticipated development, where that might occur. And thank you, Joe's, for that, because that was a good exercise. And then we cross-checked that with Ishita's numbers on the water wastewater, okay? So we felt that no industrial type development would occur in 1 and 2, and we moved it, in 1, and we moved it to 2, okay? We felt that along State Highway 6 that there would be something in there along State Highway 6, whether it's on the south side, there'd be some kind of office supply, stuff like that. Retail, not retail, but some distribution, maybe some light warehouse, maybe some techie stuff. And so over 10 years, we felt that it'd be most appropriate. Plus, that aligns with where industrial is in on your comprehensive plan, okay? Any questions on the reallocation of industrial type growth?
I don't know that I agree with that assumption. Definitely no
Okay.
warehouses on Highway 6 in this area, number 2. also, most of this impact that I see would potentially be on Highway 6 itself, which is TxDOT, and then 288,
Right.
because we're so close to the freeway. However, I don't want to say that I don't think it will happen, because, anybody can buy that land.
Sure.
So we have to prepare for the unknown.
And your zoning allows for it, and so we're saying, okay,
Yeah.
it's more likely to occur on State Highway 6 than it would in the western side of town and in Service Area 2. Okay, so actually, I'm wondering if we shouldn't put this in Service Area 3 on the far eastern side.
No way. That's
No?
rural.
Okay, okay,
Nope, wouldn't
okay.
happen.
Okay, sorry, okay. Nonetheless, along State Highway 6. And recall, though, when we're talking LUA, we're talking forecasted growth over 10 years. It will be revisited in at least 5 years.
At least
okay?
5, yeah.
Right. So if we think we missed the boat of where it is now, it'll be updated. But this is only one component in terms of trip generation of future growth that is that's being considered. Okay, and it varies between, because if you think about it, a FedEx distribution or a small neighborhood that could fall under light industrial. Some of that could fall under service. So there's some gray areas in some of that stuff. Okay. But nonetheless, we felt like, okay, we need to have some, and we thought State Highway 6 is most appropriate. Okay, the next one is service or the office. Now, you'll see that bottom line, if we add up the non-residential square footage, you'll see a substantial difference in the square footage. So we're going from 6 mil down to about 1.8 mil. So we had a factor or
That's
two
more
off.
realistic.
Yeah, we had a factor or two off there, but so thank you for making us go through with a fine-tooth comb. We felt that office-related development in Service Area 1 would stay about the same, right? You're going to have some mixed-in office in City Center. Some of those pad sites, they may be some kind of insurance, things like that. So we felt that there needs to be some in there. So we left the Service Area 1 alone.
Service area 2.
Yeah, Service Area 2 is where things substantially increased. And so we looked at the plans there of the Reserve, Del Bello, and City Center. And so that's where we get our square footages. And so as a majority of them. And so because some of those are mixed use, we wanted to account for some of that. So we felt that on the office side, that's where it's significantly going to increase. So it bumps it up from about 900K to about 1.6 million square feet in those developments. Service Area 3, we dropped. We had about 162,000 square feet in Service Area 3. That's east of Masters, right, on the far east side of town. We dropped it to about 40,000. We felt there might be some kind of miscellaneous infill of office, insurance, something medical, of dentist, something in there on the eastern side of the community. So we dropped that substantially. And then same thing with the Service Area 4, which is Meridiana. That's where the biggest drop was. We left about 30,000 in there, 30,000 square feet, because there's a couple of things going on. There's some city property that may have some city functions in there. There's potential school. So we felt like, you know what, there's going to be some employment associated with that. So we accounted for something small by way of office in the Meridiana. So it could be ancillary support type stuff. Could be, again, insurance types, things like that. Any question on the office type growth and how we reallocated and downsized?
I am having a hard time swallowing these numbers, and while I appreciate the substantial drop in the totals, it just seems like math. Please don't take this the wrong way. But when when we look at Service Area 2, an increase from 972,000 square feet to 16, I don't know where that would go. That's big.
Presidio is the biggest one.
Presidio's
Is that-
in Service Area 1, and
Presidio's in service area 2.
It's in service area 2.
it's in 2, so it's on the corner of this area too?
Yeah, let's
It's
go.
the
Okay, so this is 288 here.
northeast
Yeah.
corner of Highway 6 and 288.
Gotcha, okay. So that's
Right in
where
here.
we're, okay, that's, all right.
You got Presidio, you got Del Bello, and the Reserve, and a little piece of Del Bello, the auto dealership.
And the
There's a couple
dealership,
of-
okay, thank you. So the
So
way I
it's-
was
it's-
looking at this was, Service Area 2 was not all the way on 288, so that's where my eyebrows went up,
And
partially
And I-
because they're paralyzed, but.
I can go back to this map as we talk through it.
And Eddie, just to confirm, on the basic employment, you said the adjustment was supposed to go to service area number 3,
We
I
had some,
believe?
we had some in 1, and we moved it in 2, and so we're showing it right now in 2, but as I look at it,
Yeah,
I feel like you and I talked about that it might be in 3,
It
right
should be
here.
in, yeah, that's where the map, I had
Okay.
called out the industrial.
That's what I thought, yeah, okay. So we will fix that.
And then the auto dealership will go somewhere here, yeah, and that's gonna be huge, so that makes sense.
That's a lot of square
That
footage.
is a lot of square footage. But if it's gonna come in an enormity like that, I definitely see it in this pocket right here.
Yeah, it'll be along 288.
It will, so I can get behind that. Now this, I feel like it's obviously,
Yeah.
I think that might be underestimated, to be honest.
I don't know what these numbers mean, so we'll just have to ask.
I don't know about that, but I mean, in this service area, I think they're being extremely conservative, 30,000.
Well,
Can we have the discussion so that Eddie, if your mics are on, so that
I'm sorry.
Eddie can respond to?
So we were just talking about the
Sure.
service areas. So,
Yes.
so for service, so if we're looking at the numbers, what we're saying is for service area 2, that service area is going to have the highest amount of home growth, the highest amount of office growth, the highest amount of retail growth, and the highest basic service as well. So that's industrial.
But actually, we're going to move this 165 to service area 3 because it's right in here where that might occur.
Can you put your mouse over it?
Oh, right here.
Yeah, I've got it. I got the mouse moving right
Okay, I see
over
it
there.
now.
You see it? So right in here is where we figure that might happen, and where we
That would make sense.
see.
Actually, yeah.
we're
So-
thinking
Okay.
small distribution, infill
Yeah.
type.
Yeah, I agree with
And the current zoning allows for that
yeah.
over there.
Yep. So, and looking at the numbers, the other thing that I'm struggling with is, and, and priorities can change, but the priority is commercial. This 10-year forecast has, for every trip of commercial, there's 2 trips of new growth of residential. And so that's, so if the impetus is on commercial, why is this showing more residential?
The residential has come straight from development plans.
Well, that's where so is the number 9,400 new homes?
Yeah.
So,
So there was 7,000 roughly in the 7,200, I think 7,296 for the water wastewater. So the big difference here is the service area 4, 2,500.
yeah, 2,500
So
new
that-
homes in service area 4?
That's the southern sector. Yeah.
There's no-
You need the map?
I don't.
So just so you're saying, so does that include Meridiana's numbers or doesn't include?
Yes, it does.
So why,
What has not been developed.
okay.
2,400.
So why is that included if it's not subject to a road impact fee and won't be?
So we have, okay, so I'm sorry, we did not include MUDs. So if
So
that
that doesn't
is,
include.
is Meridiana a mud, then we need to take that out.
Yeah, you need to take it out.
Joe's?
Yeah, Meridiana is part of the mud.
Okay, then we'll take
And
that out. So that'll be
it applies on-
sprinkled.
It
Yeah,
applies for the water,
that'll be-
wastewater as well. That was the reason why Meridiana was out, because it's a mud. But I was under the impression that even though we do not include the CIP for Meridiana, but then the trips generated from future residential could have an impact on roadways within that service area. Correct me if I'm wrong.
See my cursor moving? So you got
Yes.
residential in here. Those trips are going to be going out into the network, going to office, retail, wherever they're going on the day-to-day trip. So they're going to be impacting the network outside of the development.
So,
In other words, Meridiana trips are not solely impacting only their roads. They're impacting a series of roads.
oh, absolutely. No, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
So
But
that's what I was saying. Like the capital improvement projects within Meridiana is not included, but in terms of trip generation, the newer homes and even I think the growth has an impact on capital improvement within the service area.
But
I don't know if I'm
no,
saying it- I'm a little sleepy.
I definitely get that. But let me ask. But you just said,
You're asking about the 2,400.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Because
what?
if those don't count Meridiana, where are those
Yeah.
going?
Yeah, is that possible that it could be outside of Meridiana, the 2,500, or do we need to just scale that back altogether?
There's no way.
There's no way.
Is it half? I mean,
Outside of
Meridiana,
Outside of Meridiana, whatever we used for wastewater and water impact fee, that's what we'll use. But can we get back to this? Let me double check just one little thing before we decide
Yeah.
whether to scale back.
Yeah. So and then the other thing that on service area 2. Is Valencia in this as well? So you said you took out muds. They're in a mud. Is Valencia in these numbers for service area 2?
I don't think so. I recall the Reserve, Del Bello, City Center, Presidio.
So, okay, so the part that I'm struggling with is then if Valencia is going to add 1,000 units over the next 10 years,
Is Valencia mud or not?
it is.
Okay, so that's out.
Okay, but hear me out. So it's 1,000 units in service area 2, and then we're going to say another 2,600 units, 2,669, are also going to be built in that same service area. So
Blue.
3,669 homes are going to be built in that service area over the next 10 years?
2,600.
No, because we said, well, Valencia's building 1,000 as well.
Okay, that's out. Okay.
It's out of these numbers, but it's not out of the market. And so physically, we've gone through this. There is no way the market is going to absorb, the market's going to absorb 3,600 homes in that area. It's just not.
The
And-
numbers in service areas 1, 2, and 3 are rooted in the water and wastewater numbers. And that's all known and anticipated development activity.
Okay, then why are we off by, because the water and wastewater were 7,200. Why is this 9,400?
So then that would be this one, because water is not down in Meridiana.
But Meridiana shouldn't be in these numbers at all, right?
Right. So we had those in there unless outside of Meridiana in here is where we might be seeing some of that growth.
Okay.
I don't know.
So if Meridiana has 2,000 lots, roughly, that's how you get down to the 7,200 from the 94, roughly.
I mean, yeah.
Because that
Right.
number should match the wastewater, right?
No, is the wastewater service area down there?
I'm sorry, it should match.
Water's not down there.
So for water wastewater, I don't think they're adding Meridiana's numbers because that is out on the calculation. But for residential growth on the roadway impact fee, like I said, my understanding was that the new growth will be counted because it has an impact in the area on roads.
Okay, well, then we're kind of doing two things. Valencia's not in because it's in a mud, but Meridiana is in, and it is in a mud. So we can't have it both ways.
Right, and wouldn't Valencia's new growth be factored in? Because even that would have impact on the roads within the service area, Eddie? Or am I getting it completely wrong?
So my understanding is that it's not included.
In that case, both Meridiana and Valencia should not be included, correct? That's what Matt is.
Yeah.
I guess that's what Matt's pointing out.
Yeah.
And
So then that means really, so service area 4 drops unless this has to drop. But we know that there's a significant number of units in Presidio, City Center, and City Center, and the Reserve, and a piece left in Del Bello, as well as others that might be sprinkled in outside of those known developments, all in the blue area.
So should it match the water and wastewater or not?
Yes,
match in terms of what's applicable.
yes. And
We
there-
cannot be
remember-
assuming something different for water, wastewater, and something different here.
Right. The other thing is that their area may cover some of these areas that are not in the city limits.
Okay.
So
Eddie,
we
can
will
you-
make an adjustment
Eddie,
here
can
on
you
25.
Confirm
This one,
that,
sir.
did you say that water, wastewater growth could include growth from the ETJ?
No. Oh, water and wastewater, yes, because their service areas extend beyond the city limits. We exclude outside of the city limits. And so maybe that's explaining some of the differences.
Okay, we might want to double check that because I guess our service area is limited to the city limits. We do not provide services. Are you saying that it's based on some of the agreements we have with ETJ MUDs? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's just whatever physically inside the city limits.
Or,
Yeah, that's what we were saying to you. See, but I heard you say that their numbers would include ETJ numbers as well. Is that what you said?
Oh, their number, yeah, I'm sorry, the water waste numbers would, yes, because their service area extends beyond the city limits, yes, sorry.
Okay, and I believe it might be based on the fact that we do have some agreement with ETJ MUDs that we provide.
That would make sense. So I was like, what?
So does that mean the road dwelling units would be even less than the water and wastewater dwelling units then?
Here are our numbers right here.
Where? They're 9,400. I'm trying to understand how the water and wastewater is 7,200, and those include units in the ETJ.
Yeah, and they don't include Meridiana. This number includes Meridiana, so we need to make a change here, 2,500. Unless some of that growth could happen outside at Joe's here, outside of Meridiana.
Yeah, outside of Meridiana in service area 4, and I think even for water, wastewater, there was some growth factored in. It's not going to be equivalent to Meridiana, but we do have certain areas that are identified as suburban residential in our future land use plan where you will see some infill development like the ones that you said, and also confirming from our previous discussion, somebody who's on an acre home with a line in front of them, they don't have to connect. They can still be on well and septic based on something that the council had adopted. But
Awesome.
not to digress from the topic, but I wanted to
no, I
confirm that.
appreciate you finding that out. Thank you.
Yeah, and so there will be a number, but not as much as Meridiana.
No, but I'm just trying to make apples to apples between the wastewater water number and this number. And maybe I just don't understand. But water and wastewater include areas in the ETJ. This,
Not the entire areas in the ETJ, a limited,
a limited number. Okay.
Number, yeah.
Let's just say 200.
correct.
Of the 7,200, let's just say 200, just for argument's sake. The road includes no ETJ, zero ETJ, right? So shouldn't the unit count for the road be less than 7,200?
But like Eddie was pointing out, there's a difference. The water wastewater doesn't include Meridiana's number, whatever
yeah,
growth,
yeah.
but they do.
Yeah, but that needs to come
He
out.
needs to take out,
So
and-
when the revised number comes out, it should be less than the water wastewater number, right?
I don't know where the water and wastewater extend in the service area 2. 1 covers some of these areas here.
But again, the water wastewater is not broken down into service areas.
No, I'm not asking about, I'm just looking at grand totals.
Okay.
The grand total's 9,400 in this, and the grand total in the water wastewater is 7,200. And so if there's 200 units in the ETJ and the water wastewater, there should be,
Slightly-
slightly less in the road, right?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm asking.
And if we are saying that Meridiana and Valencia is out here as well, so
So, Joe's, from the development planning that you've seen and submitted plans, what might 2,500 turn to in service area 4? So that's everything south of the railroad.
right, and it could be. What we had factored in was there were development plans in process while we were working on this, and there was one particular development that went to city council, and city council said no to that. But I think whenever we heard that, that was communicated, but it doesn't go away though.
No.
The numbers are going to be slightly less. You'll have 1 acres. There's opportunity for areas that can be developed into half acres. So based on all of that, right now I wasn't prepared for
No.
giving like a exact number of homes, but I believe all that number factored in the service area is coming from infill development based on our future land use plan and based on what we've seen. And it's not like tomorrow or next year. It's going to be in the next 10 years where we have a large area which has been identified as estate residential, which would allow for not like super dense, but allows for relatively dense product, and then a smaller area which is anticipated as suburban residential, which would allow for somewhat dense. Again, when we say dense, it's a relative term, not like Meridiana. And we have another area which is rural preservation, where we do not anticipate a whole lot of development, but still you could see development in terms of like 1 acre lots and stuff. So my recollection is that we had talked about all possible infill development. And again, just like the
Correct.
previous discussion, these are projections in terms of maximum. And to your point, whatever it is, it has to be the same, or it has to align.
Yeah, that's all, and that's the gist of my question, just aligning with the water wastewater.
And that's what the intent was, and I'm not 100% sure why it is not.
I feel good about these 3 numbers right here in service areas 1, 2, and 3. It's the service area 4 which is in question. I thought we had that covered, but
And we just have to double check with water wastewater to see what was factored in on that, and make sure that's what is reflected here as well.
so we're going to look at service area 4. Do we need to look at service area 2 again?
Yeah, I would just double check. I mean, but doesn't hurt to check it, right?
We've done it enough times already, so you're right, Matt. And remember, this is just a forecast, right? I mean, based on allowable zoning, your comp plan, what staff has seen, from folks coming in, kicking tires, development plans, things that maybe got shot down since we started this process. So Matt, what is your gut feel on what 2,500 ought to be in service area 4?
300.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
You don't know the
agree.
area like I do.
Yeah, I would agree.
But what about zone?
I live
what
in
about the
3, so I drive in
potential-
4 all the time.
What about what?
But what about the potential for some of those tracks to flip? And then they've got zoning
Yeah.
that would enable more dense development, though.
I think if that
Well-
happened, we would have a new city council, a new city manager, new city attorney. It wouldn't happen.
If you saw the room at a recent city council meeting regarding a plot of land in 3 that somebody wanted to change zoning on, yeah.
But we're talking service area 4, though.
No, I understand, but I'm saying the area that it's
gotcha.
zoned 1 acre lots or bigger, but the comprehensive plan or the land use plan says it could be suburban, not estate, which that's now a source of trying to figure that out. But what I'm saying is that people east of 1128 come out in full force.
Yeah.
So yes, a new council, a new everything, families sell land, I know things can happen down the line, but as of this moment, from what I'm seeing and what I've heard and people coming in here voicing their opinions is east of 1128, they want 1 acre lots or bigger. So if someone does try to come flip it, they're going to come in here in full force.
So
That's why I agree with Matt as far as I don't see 2,500 homes in 4.
The Belcher tract would be service area 3, Eddie.
Yeah, here's Belcher Tract, yeah. Yeah, right there. Isn't that it, right there?
Where's your cursor?
It's in that
Where-
area.
where-
Correct.
Yeah, it's in 3.
Yeah. So there was some level of growth here in 3. Sorry.
So, Eddie, so on residential growth, I mean, just to summarize, we have to go back, take a look at water, wastewater to see what was assumed on that, and the goal is to make sure the assumption is aligned, and you do have enough information on future projects, existing residential, future land use map, to make sure the numbers can be adjusted based on service areas accordingly to align with water, wastewater.
So I will say that these numbers we feel more strongly in 1, 2, and 3. It's service area 4 that was the wild card.
Yeah, and like Matt said, we'll just double check
Yeah.
every
Doesn't hurt.
area.
So I remember at the last meeting, they mentioned we don't have roadway impact fees right now. A lot of cities that we neighbor don't have roadway impact fees, and we can recommend pretty much anything we want. Yes, we want them. No, we don't want them. Yes, we want them, but we want them different per service area or per land use. Why do we want them?
You
Why-
are going to experience some level of growth that's going to require infrastructure, road
Right, but
infrastructure.
why is it being recommended for us, but Pearland has grown massively and they
Just
don't have them? Like, how does it benefit us? How does it hurt us if we say we don't want them right now? Or how does it hurt our citizens?
Well, I would say League City has impact fees now, and there are other communities, Conroe, Dayton. They're starting to think about other funding mechanisms, and
Okay.
that's to defray the cost of infrastructure.
Okay.
Right? There will be road improvements that are going to be needed, and without an impact fee program, that puts all that cost on your tax base.
Okay,
With
got it.
an impact fee program.
So we do want them.
Well,
Yes.
well, let me finish though. With an impact fee program, a portion of that cost, you're going to look to new development to help share in that cost.
Right.
And that's going to be the 100. That's where we get to that 50% collection rate, whatever, 20%. That's where that policy consideration comes into play.
Okay.
But from the CIP, all these projects that are on your thoroughfare plan, that based on growth, we're going to want to cover anticipated growth. There's going to be a cost for those improvements. Okay. And so that's kind of part two, the CIP, but it's kind of related to the growth, the LUA, which is the CIP to cover growth. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
I'll just add, I mean, there's one component, though, is if all that new growth comes, there's all that new tax revenue. From property taxes that go to the city, sales tax that goes to the city. So it's not like it's not like it's just, being taken, and there's a taxation, on the roads. There's a lot of new revenue too.
Right.
And that's how some cities look at it. So to your point, so there's,
You bring up a great point there, Matt.
So I guess in theory, if you have the roadway impact fee, could that lower taxes for citizens because they're not needing as much revenue?
It certainly helps to offset the cost of the needed infrastructure.
I mean, I'm all for lowering taxes for people.
So you,
possible.
yeah, if I could take a step back
Without
to
being
Matt's comment.
Taxes to
Yeah.
then cover a lot of these things as well.
yeah, and so it's there's now that the catch-22 here is
It's
there's
hard
no-
to make
there's
a
no-
decision
yeah,
on something that you don't know for sure.
well, there's no road impact fee right now. There's no road impact fee around us. Is
League
development?
City,
Is
League City's got them.
Well, League City is, I wouldn't say is near us.
No, it takes me 35, 40 minutes to
yeah,
get there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay. Sorry.
So the question is,
Yeah.
is then, is Manvel going to get skipped over?
What do you mean skipped over?
Because there's impact fees like this
Oh.
compared
With the- well,
compared
yeah.
to neighboring cities.
So our experience has been in metropolitan areas, growth is coming to areas, and it doesn't necessarily, just because a community has an impact fee program, people don't say, we are not going there. We saw this in Dallas-Fort Worth, where several fringe communities, kind of situated like where y'all are situated relative to Houston, or the core of your region, Waxahachie, Midlothian, those are southern tier cities to Dallas. They were contemplating putting moratorium on development, or I'm sorry, on the impact fee program, because that was the fear that that they wouldn't come to their city. Didn't stop growth, not one bit. Growth still came anyway. So,
Yeah.
and here's the other thing. You mentioned a great point, and the impact fee is just, it's a funding mechanism. It's not a tax. It's not out to stick it to the developer. Here is cost that's going to be incurred by the city, and that cost, this model helps to determine technically how much, if you were to want new development to share in that cost, here's the technical derivation of how much it costs to put a unit of road on the ground, and if you want new development to share in that cost, that's the policy question. Okay, but let me go back to something very, very important that Matt said. You said that the increase in tax, in ad valorem tax, that there's going to be other monies that come into play, and you are very correct. That's why the legislature changed the law. The development community went to the legislature in 2011. They said, you know what's not fair is we're putting down roads, and the ad valorem tax increases for the city, and we don't get any benefit of that. That's where the credit analysis comes into play. And so you do this credit analysis to determine that offset increase in ad valorem tax and how that benefits the growth, and you take that out of the equation. Or in the alternative, you credit the cost of the CIP by 50%, and you run the calculation from there. That's where that 50% ceiling comes into play, okay? So, we have done the credit analysis, but if the discussion were to be, golly, we don't want to come out too strong and too hard, we want to start low and ramp up over time, that's a policy decision. All we're saying is, here's what it's going to cost to put a unit of road on the ground, and here's the growth that's anticipated, that's going to require use of these facilities, and it's going to impact our facilities and the cost of those facilities, and how that breaks down, okay? So technical derivation, policy. So we're on the technical piece here. And one of the technical pieces is the LUA. Okay, so let's not go to policy right now. Let's come back to LUA. So we are going to take a look at the residential growth one more time with an emphasis in service area 4, but we're going to corroborate service areas 1 through 3. Okay, and we already determined that we're going to reallocate the industrial. We felt that there might be a little bit of industrial in service area 3 along State Highway 6, so that's going to be here in service area 3. The office employment, we felt that the most of that was going to occur in service area 2, Presidio, Del Bello, kind of this whole neck of the woods along 288 right here. But there'll be other things that sprinkle in, right? But the bulk of it will be these 3, the city center, the reserve, those kinds of things will be was where the office will be mostly generated from. So that increased, okay? Where office decreased significantly was in 3 and 4, and that was mainly going to be kind of support type stuff that's infill to both service areas 3 and 4, fire station, city service properties, things like that. Small doctors' offices, medical, something like that. Okay, so 3 and 4 dropped, 2 increased significantly, and 1 we left it at where it was. Okay. We okay to move on to the last one, the commercial?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So retail employment, we had about 2 million square feet of retail employment programmed in the initial number crunch, and we got about 2 million programmed now, but we've reallocated it. And this was the biggest one. And so we'll start with service area 1, west of 288. We went from 295 to about 641. The biggest area was right along the 288 corridor, including the town center. There's some spot infill along Croy. There are some areas south, and I'm just going to go back to the service area map. Some areas down in here on the south side of State Highway 6. This BCS, I think it was called BCS tract, BTS, this tract is outside of the city limits, so we can't consider that. But we felt that city center and along the 288 that hasn't developed here, along Croy, that's where we felt most of it was going to occur, right in here. However, you're going to have, I think we had a fire station somewhere in here. We had some spot infill somewhere in here. But in the green area, we felt that that there was going to be a significant amount of commercial growth. And that was about 640,000 square feet. We did use the BCS tract, the kind of intensity of development that was programmed here. So this is that area just, west of, here's HEB right here. So we felt that, okay, something like that might fit right in here. And so that was kind of the biggest piece of that. That was about 500,000 square feet right in here along the 288 corridor when you consider along Croy. And then you had the city center with some out parcels left for development there. Then you had a bunch of convenience, banks, stuff like that, miscellaneous retail along State Highway 6. So that was the biggest shift in 1. Okay. The biggest shift in 2 went from, well, I should say, service area 4 is where all this is getting reallocated from. But there's still going to be a little bit of where we were at 172,000. That's where the majority of the commercial retail is going. And the big chunks of that are going to be Presidio, let's see, City Center, the Reserve, and Del Bello, the dealership. So that's where a big chunk of that is going to occur. However, we had some retail, spot retail, right? I guess Masters and State Highway 6. We had some pieces along State Highway 6. So there's going to be some other infill sprinkled in as kind of ancillary support. But that was kind of the big change in service area 2. Service area 3 and 4 is really only going to have kind of nodal commercial type support, a convenience store, maybe some small restaurants, things like that in both 3 and 4. So we know that we saw some, I think it was some restaurant use here, or maybe it was over in here. So we have mainly that sprinkled in along the State Highway 6 area. Service Area 4, there were some things, the city tract, there was some retail, there's a daycare center that's going to fall in there. And so we felt that, in the whole southern sector, there was going to be some level of supporting nodal commercial development. So thoughts on the reallocation of commercial growth out of 4 into 2. So here's the kind of the new numbers we're looking at.
I don't really see anything truly to rebuttal versus, the earlier calculations in this. They seem modest to me compared to what we just talked about as far as square footage on the retail. Does anybody have any questions about this? No?
So where we're going to
1128
go.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
This is 1128, right? I thought that was TxDOT. Is 1128 not TxDOT?
That's an on-system road.
Okay.
But the reason we're including it is because there is probably going to be some cost incurred by the city for right-of-way. Maybe the city's going to be acquiring some right-of-way, utility relocates. So that's why we're considering these projects. And remember, we're only
Okay.
considering the capacity add. So in other words, if it's a 2-lane road and it's going to ultimately go to a 4, we're only adding the 2 new lanes of capacity. We're not doing any recoupment of any existing roads.
Okay.
So, and it's a great question. So at the end of the day, if there's a city contribution on this on-system road, it'll maybe be up to 20% of that. So we would still generate a cost number for it, but only 20% would be considered in the impact fee program
Gotcha. Okay.
for on-system roads, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So Eddie, what we're
So-
looking at here is there's not a number or a dollar figure, right? These are just vehicle miles?
Yeah.
They're just,
Yes. This
Okay.
is just net growth. We didn't want to advance into the number crunch with the cost
Okay.
until we got squared away on this. And so really
Well-
what we need to go back to confirm is the residential piece. I didn't hear any strong negatives on the other components, other than we're going to move 165 to Service Area 3. So are y'all comfortable with the non-residential piece?
Eddie, I had a quick question. I think you mentioned about the BCS development, which is next to HEB.
Yeah, right here.
That property was annexed into the city. So I'm not 100% sure if you've included the commercial non-residential square footage into the calculation for that district.
So I guess what we're going to need from y'all is an updated city limits map. This is what we had at the outset when we started this process. So if that's changed, then we need to change this map.
Correct. Yeah, it was annexed sometime recently.
Yeah, probably,
And the map may not show it. Yeah, we'll definitely send you that updated boundary map.
next to HEB.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
yeah,
called?
yeah. Here's HEB right here. And I mean, this tract, the BCS tract,
getting it
that was
confused with the city.
363,000 square feet of development. That was a boatload of stuff. Two 100,000 square foot pads, 30,000 square foot kind of retail, and then a bunch of out parcels, ton of out parcels. Okay, so sounds like non-resident. Okay, maybe retail changes a little bit. I'm sorry, retail here maybe this goes up a little bit in Service Area 1 to bring in the BCS track, because we saw that as outside the city limits. So, okay, we can put that in. So maybe 56 goes to, I don't know, 58-ish, somewhere in there. But that it kind of rolls up to the VMT conversion. So, yeah. So we'll go in and we'll take another dive on the residential piece, and then we'll get the BCS tracked in there into Service Area 1 for retail, and we'll move this industrial, and hopefully y'all are good with the LUA then.
Okay, so it's my understanding that it's on our agenda to forward a recommendation on the proposed cost per service unit calculations and the road impact fees. So I don't see numbers
we're
here, so we can't. We're going to have
We're
to.
not-
Well, I think we're
We're not-
tabling that because they're going to
But Joe said when we started that,
Oh.
hopefully we could conclude that because we have timelines with like the public
No,
hearings.
I thought you meant that for the
That-
water.
Yeah, that
That's
was
the
for the
water,
water,
wastewater.
wastewater. On this one, we did have a similar timeline, but with the more detailed look into the land use assumptions, like Eddie mentioned, we will have to go back
Okay.
just to make sure there's clarity and
Good.
there's no reason for being challenged on a technicality. We'll start over the public hearing process. So we have a little
are
more
starting on
time
that.
on this. So all the input we get today is critical so that Eddie can go back and make sure everything is straightened out.
Bring us hard numbers. Okay, perfect. So.
Here's what I'll probably do to save time. We will probably generate a final tech memo on this, get that over to Joe's. He'll pass that on to y'all. It would mean that y'all would need to meet as an advisory committee to kind of sign off on it, unless you can give direction on this residential piece. But we would not advance anything until we get your final comments on the LUA.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable unless we
Yeah.
had another meeting and had everyone here to see that and make that discussion and then
That makes sense.
the recommendation.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. So is that everything that you had for us, Eddie?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
You're so efficient. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
But
you.
great questions, though. These are all important questions, because ultimately y'all are going to be the ones getting hit by the commercial developers.
Yep.
Matt, your developer friends, why'd you do this to me? But at the end of the day, it's just a funding mechanism on helping to allocate the cost of future infrastructure that will be
Understood.
necessitated by growth.
Understood. Thank you so much. Is there
bet.
anything else that we want to talk about related to this item, the road impact fees, before we make a motion to adjourn?
I'm good.
Going
No.
once,
No,
going twice.
I think we're good.
Forever hold your peace. All right, thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for those watching online that have a vested interest in Manvel's growth and growing responsibly and sustainably. And with that, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.